Okay, hello and welcome to Mental Health Update for February 2024. It's a new month. The same old crap, pretty much. Same old crap with the weather, same old crap with my life. And it's hard to it's hard to feel well. Um, where do I start? It's just getting worse and worse here, in the middle of the island. And, you know, I haven't been in good shape mentally this past month. A lot of it is to do with the weather. We've had 10 days now, almost 10 days with no sun at all. So I haven't seen the sunshine in 10 days. I mean, maybe it peaked out a little bit in the morning here and there, but when I'm out, it's just slate gray, overcast skies every day. It's not raining, or we've had so many rainy days through this month. And it's been so dreary and so depressing and so heartbreaking. Uh, it really is just heartbreaking what's going on in my life right now. Um, where do I start? I'm not feeling well, so I'm kind of just, I've got did something to my shoulder. It's 50% better, but just carrying laundry again, and I tried to make the load lighter, and I didn't put it over my shoulder, but I still did something to it. It's just too long of a walk between here to the laundromat. If you know Mineola, the distance between Willis and Mineola Boulevard, if you're carrying something, is not a short distance. And no, there is no laundry in my building. No, um, so I have to. That's the funny thing about it. I talk about laundry exhaust, but that's from the other half of the building across the alley. They have a laundry room, but it's owned by somebody else. I can't use it. So, um, I try to wash stuff out at home, but sometimes it's just living without a car. It's not easy, and when you live in an apartment building that doesn't have a thing like a laundry. Sorry, those things aren't for you. You can't have that either. It seems to be the gist of everything in my life. That it's just because I have a disability, because I can't work, that I can't get the things that other people have, you know, because of it. And it's not fair, you know, especially when it starts messing with your health. Um, let me first off say I'm grateful it's not worse. I'm grateful, for everything the help I get and everything like that. But mentally, I just haven't been in a good way. Um, I've been struggling uh, a great deal with depression this past month. Um, Loneliness, just feeling alone, just and the one thing that I love to do is go to the Pine Barrens, and I can't even get decent weather to do that. I can't even get decent weather to do that. It's just the climate here is just really changing, and it's affecting me. And I'm going to talk a little more about climate change than I normally do in these videos, but normally I talk about all the social issues going on, and I will talk about that as well. But um, the climate is changing, and it's so depressing. All these cloudy, rainy days. I mean, is this the way it's going to be all the time now? Are we ever going to have stretches of sunny, dry weather ever again? Where, are we ever going to have a normal winter ever again? I mean, there's nothing like the winters, you know, that I used to get. And yeah, and, in the 80s, we didn't have a lot of big snowstorms. We did have cold weather, and we did have snow. They just weren't big snowstorms. We had maybe 5 or 6 inches or something. Like we had a stretch where we weren't getting big snowstorms, but we still had winter weather. And there's nothing like, you know, after a cold front moves through, after a little snowfall, you go out and it's a nice blue sky, the air is fresh and clean, and it's bitterly cold out. Man, we haven't had any of that. We've had barely any of that this year. I mean, bitterly cold. I mean, when I was growing up in the 80s and then especially the 90s, it was common to have days where we were only in the teens. Rarely do we see that anymore. Um, we never had these cloudy periods, and man, so much rain too. All these tropical LLJ type systems. This is all due to climate change. Um, More oceans are warmer, so when we put all this warmth into the atmosphere because of our excessive burning of fossil fuels, well, that is going to translate it to the oceans and having warmer sea surface temperatures, and not only warmer temperatures at the surface, but also warmer temperatures even further down in the water column that provide more and more energy for these storm systems. And you know, a warm ocean means more clouds. I mean, if you take a pot of warm water or hot water, what's going to happen? You're going to see all the steam come off. It's the same type of thing that we're doing. All right, it's the same type of thing. So obviously, climate change affects different parts of the country, other than uh, you know, differently. Certain areas of the country, they're not seeing the amount of crazy, dreary days that we have. At least big places like Arizona and Flagstaff, for instance. And people now, you want to go to Arizona? It's hot as hell. Not Flagstaff. It's in the mountains. All right, 6,000 feet elevation. All right. And I'm thinking, if this is the climate, if this is the way the climate's going to be from now on, I don't know how I can deal with this. You know, I like to have those blue sky days. I like to have the sunshine. I can't. It's not good for my immune system or my even my physical health to be dealing. I feel very run down from these cloudy days. It's just, I've always had trouble with the clouds, but it's like this is just unbelievable. I can't ever remember a stretch like this. This is just horrible. So January, I think I only had what, 2 or 3 decent days the whole month for hiking. I think we only had 3 days for the whole month. 3 days for a whole 31-day month. 3 days that were clear. I mean, that's just pathetic, right? But yeah, it's you have to wonder how climate change affects your mental health, and it's affecting my mental health in a very negative way. It's not to say we're not going to see winter weather again. It'll happen again. We'll get winter weather. We'll get cold weather, but it's going to be less and less common, and more of this kind of dreck that we have. It's like living in the United Kingdom, with the gloomy weather they have all the time. That's what it's like. It's like living in London. It's so horrible. I can't deal with it, you know? So, yeah, after I got that out of the way, we could talk about all the other things going on. Obviously, life in the middle of the island is continuing to get worse. The crime, you've seen a number of the crime videos. There's a whole bunch more things that happen that I don't feel like doing a crime video on, but we had another theft at Roosevelt Field. Uh, uh, we had a lot of crime going on. That there's been crime in New Park. The whole middle of the island, and even the North Shore, is dealing with it because of the policies of the government, the policies of people like Joe Biden, all the way down to the mayor of New York City and the governor of New York, Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul. I mean, they are letting these criminals in, and let me tell you something. I feel like I'm in Westbury. It's pretty much just like Westbury now, where I live. The illegals, they've taken over, like overnight. It seems like they've just taken over. They're all over the place. You know, all the signs are there. The beat up cars, the out of state plates, the trash, sitting around getting drunk. We have that now too. On top of all the vagrants that we have hanging around. Around the train station and stuff. It's such a depressing place to live. There's no life here. It's just dead. Once the sun goes down, it is dead. It is lonely. It is desolate. And not only is it depressing as hell, but it feels very unsafe too. And but it's all part of the plan. This is all being done to drive us out. That's what I can keep saying all the time and time again. They're driving us out of New York. They want to make sure that only a certain demographic and their little enclaves, which they're going to live it up because they won huge today on Wall Street after losing yesterday. They won huge. They're going to be drinking their wine and living it up and enjoying life in the enclave and thumbing their nose at the rest of us who have to live here in the middle of the island dealing with all these issues, But it's all designed to drive us out. Um, It's all designed to drive us out. The crime, the neglect, it's all about the South Shore. That's the area that is designated as civilization on Long Island. And if you're not there, then you're not living in civilization. If you're living in the middle, you're living in Jamaica 2.0 or Jamaica East. So that's what it's turning into. That's what they want to do. It's going to be Jamaica all the way at least through the middle of Nassau. The further east you go into Suffolk, the less of that influence you get. But a lot of the crimes coming and spilling out of the city. It's spilling out of the city and it's spilling into the middle. You have a lot of illegals being housed in Glen Oaks and Creedmoor, and you have a lot of dangerous people that are also let out of places like Creedmoor, and so that you have a lot of criminals hanging around that area committing crime, and then it spills over into New Hyde Park. And then what town is next to New Hyde Park? Garden City Park. And then what town is next to that? Mineola. And it's just spilling over, and there's nothing being done. There's no preventative policing going on to stop this. They're only arrested after the fact. Um, and it's not like on the South Shore where you have, the South Shore is protected. It's because of who lives there. White finance professionals. New York's all about Wall Street. It's all about finance, real estate. And this is what they're doing. And so they're driving us out. Yeah, all of Long Island is expensive, but I constantly look online, see towns that people want to move in. It's either two things. People want to live on the South Shore. Usually they'll pick a town between Merrick and Massapequa Park in Nassau County. That's like a place that a lot of people look, just reading through the Long Island Reddit and stuff. Sometimes it's Rockville Centre or Lynbrook, Long Beach sometimes. You rarely ever hear the middle of the island mentioned. It's only further east that people are willing to look in the middle of the island, like Ronkonkoma or Holtzville, because you're further away. Because in Suffolk County, it's not the same thing. It's not as bad, But toward the city, all the problems in the city are basically spreading into the middle of the island like a freaking tsunami. And that's what's going on here. And there's no one to protect us. Bruce Blakeman isn't protecting us. He could. I know you can't have a checkpoint, but you could have cameras, license plate scanners, and police at all the roads along the city line, just watching the cars and people moving back and forth. And if you see suspicious people, you stop them. But he's not doing that because Bruce Blakeman is a lousy county executive on crime. He's way worse than Laura Curran. I miss Laura Curran. She was actually way better on crime. He ran on crime. And the crime in this county is continuing to get worse. It's unbelievable. Ed Romaine seems like a different kind of guy. I'm thinking Ed Romaine's more of a blue-collar guy. He's going to look out for everybody in Suffolk. But Nassau, forget it. The middle is toast. It's done. It's not fair. I don't think the middle should be toast. I don't think towns between Hicksville and Floral Park should be ruined, but that's what's going on. They're moving the problems in. They're coming in Franklin Square, too. All those towns. They're all done for. And I'm stuck here in a declining area, seeing it unfold all around me. And it's bad enough for somebody who does not have a mental health problem to deal with. But when you have a mental health problem and you have depression and anxiety disorder, it makes it very, very hard to deal with. And, it really is getting scary out there. As I said in my other video, in Hempstead, I'm seeing more and more hoodlums hang out there. Unfortunately, I had to transfer that tonight. Why did I have to transfer tonight? Because the 15 wound up running late. And if I took the 15 to Roosevelt Field, then I would have had to wait at Roosevelt Field a half an hour for the next bus. Because they don't have enough buses out of Roosevelt Field. All right. So I had to take the 16 and transfer to the 4041. And there was another unstable person on the bus again on the 4041. So that's kind of like what I have to deal with on a daily basis, or near daily basis, and I try to avoid it. I mean, I wanted to go to Rockville Center, so if I'm in Rockville Center and I had and I didn't feel like getting off in Garden City and having to walk 2 miles home through Garden City, especially because I had some groceries to carry. So, there's limited ways to get back here, and even the 25 now, like taking from Lynbrook, I don't do that much anymore because Franklin Square has got a lot of sketchy people getting on the bus in Franklin Square or getting off the bus. Franklin Square is done for, and New White Park isn't far behind because I don't really feel safe waiting there either. I see sketchy people hanging around, and it's dark, and there's not a lot of traffic. There's not people. There's no people around. So if you have no people around, it makes it feel very unsafe because criminals they're like roaches. They like to be in the dark. They want to hang out in the dark corners. And if it's light and it's happening and there's attention, then they're not going to hang around. Right. So if you're on the South Shore, there's plenty of people, cars, traffic. You're going to feel safe because there's people around. But here, there's once the sun goes down, it's dead. It's nothing going on, and it's scary. And but I'm stuck here. My agency isn't going to move me, and I could look for a lawyer. I could try, but I don't even have the freaking energy right now. I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed. I'm so tired. I don't feel well at all. Um, I'm trying to at least do the walking that I can do and try to stay active to some extent. Like this past week, I walked all the way just because I didn't want to go through Hempstead. I walked all the way from Massapequa Park to Farmingdale twice. Twice I did it just to avoid having to go through Hempstead. Um, Twice I did it. It was a nice walk. Farmingdale is still all right. It's still all right there. I mean, it's not like Mineola is, but that's you're further east now. So you're east. The further east you are, the better off you're going to be. The further west you are, the worse you're going to be. Um, but yeah, I don't have the energy for that. And even if I could, I mean, I read on the Long Island Reddit. There are people out there or working people that are actually in decent paying jobs. That some of them are making even six figures, and they can't even find an apartment to live. All right, they can't find something suitable. Forget about a house. I mean, it's gotten ridiculously expensive on Long Island. This is all part of the plan. This is what they're trying to do, driving us out, driving us out. Um, and Wall Street and finance, they love it like this because they can have their own little enclave where they're all happy, and the rest of us get to deal with all the problems being dumped in, the illegals, the criminals being dumped in our community, the neglect, uh, the businesses that don't make out and wind up closing. Um, and it's very depressing. And this is why people say, we're just leaving the island, we're moving somewhere else. You know, and I try to not talk about the plan because it does really hurt to talk about it. But it does seem like it will be an eventuality that I'm going to be leaving Long Island one day. I don't know if it's going to be this year. I don't know if it's going to be next year. But something's going to reach a point. There's going to be a tipping point where it's just too damn dangerous to stay here anymore. Um, and when that tipping point comes, then I have to leave. I can't stay here, you know, because it feels like Mineola is quickly turning, going downhill very rapidly. When you look at the kind of people that you have hanging around here, um, and all these criminals being let out, all these illegals coming in. I think that's really what did it. Really finished it off with all these illegals coming in because they're moving them in. They're in all the rentals, see the houses. They're stuffing them in there. The village isn't doing anything about it. They do nothing. I've complained. They do nothing. You know, and it's happening all over the middle of the island. Putting them here, and the rich people they want to have somebody mow their lawn, so they're gonna have to have these illegals come in. All right, and look, when it comes to immigration, I'm sympathetic for people who have struggled and to escape. There's some pretty bad conditions in South and Central America. I'm not denying it, but it doesn't give you the right to go and jump the border and enter the country illegally. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And the problem is you have all these people coming in, and yeah, a lot of them have struggled. A lot of them, deserve a chance to have a better life. But a lot of them, because we don't know who they are, they run in and they automatically, ICE, instead of having them detained and deported like we used to do, now they're detained and given an appearance ticket and say, well, you got to appear, and basically apply for asylum, uh, and under the law, asylum doesn't actually. You have to have special rules to have asylum. But instead, like I said, instead of the border patrol deporting them like they should be, they're just letting them loose. And then Texas, obviously, it's a state that's been inundated by this, had enough, and they started sending them to New York, knowing that Mayor Kermit, excuse me, Mayor Adams, um, will just let him in and be basically a doormat. And that's exactly what's going on. And then Hochul, doormat. Now they're starting to get upset. Now they're like, Hochul's upset about the latest thing, where we had at least five illegals beat up cops in Times Square. I think it was Times Square in the city, and they got released after this. And said she's open to having them deported. Governor Hochul should just have them deported. Just get these people out of the state. All right? Send them back to Texas or put them on a plane back to their country of origin. All right? At least do background checks on them. Troublemakers, people, the ones who cause problems, they're out of here. That's it. But no, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. Look, this is a country built on immigrants. My great grandparents, no, my great grandparents were from Poland, and they came here through Ellis Island, and they had to apply for a lot of things. They didn't ask to get housing. They didn't ask to get food. They had to, make it on their own. Um, if you're going to another country and immigrating to another country, I don't think it's right to, ask for things. That kind of stuff. And then they learned the English. They didn't hang out on the corner getting drunk. They didn't loiter around. They didn't cause problems. They worked hard and they suffered and they struggled, but it was still a better life than where they came from. That's the story of immigrants. And like I said, I'm all for legal immigration, but when it comes to people that are coming here illegally, especially if they're coming in unchecked, people just don't understand why I have a problem with legal immigration. It has nothing to do with race. There could be illegals from any country. I think now they're actually having illegals from Asia coming in. And they're still causing problems. Because the very nature of somebody who comes here illegally, if you're breaking one law, chances are you're going to break other laws too. It doesn't matter where they're coming from. They could be coming from Europe. They could come from anywhere. If they're coming here unchecked, and the border patrol's just giving them a get out of jail free card because Joe Biden said so, then that's what's going to happen. I'm all for helping each other. I'm all for helping people. I'm not saying these people don't deserve help. Some of them do, but you can't just blankly just give, open the door to everybody. You have to make sure who you have coming in isn't going to be causing problems. And they're not doing that. They're not doing that. And so you're hurting the citizens. You're hurting the people especially the people who aren't rich. You're actually hurting a lot of immigrants who've come here legally, because most of the immigrants on Long Island live in the middle of the island. So they have to deal with all the crime. They have to deal with all the problems. While the white people in their little enclave there get to live it up. I actually think that's pretty damn racist. Yeah, I think that's a very, very racist, actually. But anyway, I know I've gone on a political thing for like 10 minutes now. But it all just relates to what I'm going through, because it's all part of the plan to purge us out, to get rid of us. I know that in order for me to survive on Long Island, I'm going to have to live in one of those South Shore enclaves. But how am I going to get in there? Remember, I have a disability. I can't work. And there's rampant discrimination against programs. Not to mention, they raise the rent higher than what the program would be willing to pay. And my program isn't even willing to move me. So They don't look at it. My program doesn't look at it from a mental health standpoint when it comes to where they house people. They just look at, well, what's our bottom line? They don't really care. That's a big problem. It needs to be changed, obviously. But, they don't care. They're going to, that's all they care about is their bottom line. They don't care about how an apartment or how an area affects somebody who's living there. They don't care about that. And we all know it's a very uphill battle. So I've got to fight against so many different things just to live in a better place. You know, and it's just it's all how the plan works. And honestly, if there was an opportunity and it came along right now of a nice apartment in a nice area, but it was in Tom's River, well, I'd have to leave Long Island. I wouldn't have a choice because I can't deal with this anymore, man. The illegals are coming. And there's going to be way more of them coming here, and nobody's really doing anything to help us, and it's both parties that are guilty for this. The Democrats want them here for the votes, and a lot of the rich Republicans want them here for the cheap labor. You know, but they don't think. None of them think about the fact that they're here illegally and that they bring nothing but problems to the community. And that's what's going on. We're on siege here. Westbury, Hicksville, the whole middle of the island is done for. And I'm stuck in it. I'm stuck in this mess. Through no fault of my own. You know, they just, I don't know what I'm gonna do. My one escape is just going to the Pine Barrens, but I can't even do that. So the weather's sucking the way it is, but hopefully we'll get better weather. Hopefully things will improve. And yeah, I have been very much under the weather because of this. It's just too these cloudy days. It's just so horrible. It really is. I don't want to wind up in Jersey, but like I said, I'm scared it's going to get to the point where I'm not going to have a choice. It's just going to get more and more dangerous here. The gangs are coming. Gangs are going to come. The gangs are going to be here soon, very soon, if they're not here already. My agency doesn't care. They don't care. They don't care about most of their housing is in Hempstead and other even areas that are worse than this. You think they care? They don't care about providing people in their program with housing in a desirable area so their clients can be happy. They don't care about that. They care about the damn bottom line because they're part of the problem. You know, nobody, this country, especially Long Island, we have a really bad attitude toward people with disabilities. Like we don't deserve anything. We don't deserve. We should kiss. We should worship. I should get on my hands and knees and worship my agency and everything and all the help I get. And I said in the beginning of the video, I'm grateful for it. But it doesn't mean I deserve to be unhappy. I deserve to live somewhere I'm happy. And I'm not going to be happy here. I don't think I'll ever be happy here. Yeah, it's only going to get worse. I'm only going to deal with all these feelings of depression, fear, anxiety, dread. When I come back to Mineola, a lot of the times, I just get a sinking feeling in my stomach, like I going down into some cesspool or something. It almost feels like you're in an elevator, free falling almost. You just feel this sense of dread coming over you when you get back to the middle of the island. That's what I feel every time I have to come back here, especially the middle of Nassau. I shouldn't really say middle of the island. Maybe that's not fair. I should say middle of Nassau. Because there are areas in the middle of Suffolk that don't have these problems. So Suffolk County is not getting it as bad. Yeah, sure, you have Wyandanch, you have Brentwood, you have Central Islip. Those are really problematic areas. But you have other areas in the middle of the island that are decent, like Ronkonkoma, Holtzville, Lake Grove. And I've walked around those areas at night, and I feel safer there than here, for sure. I see more activity out there than I do here at night, by the way. It's not dead in those areas. You know, at night like it is here. Not certain, not at all. But here, it dead because people are scared. They don't want to be out. You can blame them, you know. Um, I am just very concerned about the future. And then there's climate change, of course, and the South Shore. Obviously, depending on where you live on the South Shore, you're gonna have to deal with those consequences, like rising sea levels, like worse hurricanes, flooding, and certain communities on the South Shore are going to be susceptible to them. Though I still think that if I could live in Rockville Center, I think most of Rockville Center is okay. Most of Lynbrook's okay. Further east is when you got to worry a little more. Um, you know, it's I know I can't even leave the county because basically this housing program you can't move to another county. So I can't even say, all right, I want to move to Suffolk County. Can't even do that. I'm just feeling trapped. I guess maybe that's a good way to, you know, title this video. Feeling trapped. I feel trapped here. It's and I'm scared that it's gonna get worse. I'm scared. I know it's gonna get worse. I see it getting worse. You know, every day I go out and I see it changing so quickly in this neighborhood. Uh, you know, these people coming, they're no good, man. A lot of them are just criminals. You don't get all kinds of criminals coming here now, and not just the ones living here, but they're just coming here for the day to panhandle, hang around. The hospital's here, and they use the hospital. You know, nobody's doing anything about it. Nobody's gonna do anything about it. Lord knows I've tried to do something about it, but we all know what happens when you speak up. We all know the kind of things that get said about you, and of course, because New York is a criminal sanctuary, certain people can make death threats and about you and hate speech about you, and they get away with it. And YouTube apparently is a criminal sanctuary too because they continue to allow it. Something's got to change, all right? I'm 2 years away from being 50. I'm scared of how much worse it's going to get. And I don't want to spend my whole life like this. This is not a way to live, man. And some people can change their attitude. I can't as long as I'm stuck here. I can't. It's just too great of a too negative of an environment for me to just resist. I can't. It's like asking a bus that's driven day in, day out on the N4041 to run better when it's not being maintained properly and when it's dealing with all these problems every freaking day. That's the way I feel. And of course, yeah, anger. I'm angry about it. I'm very angry about it. I wish these damn snobs would just be open minded, let me in because your fellow man is suffering. But they don't care. All they care about is money. They don't care. They don't care about letting someone I've lived on Long Island my whole life. Why should I have to be forced out? Why should I have to leave? This is the only home I've ever known. I can't imagine living anywhere else, but yet it's changed so much. And there's still a lot of great things about Long Island. We still have, I mean, yeah, we are losing a lot of the Pine Barrens because of the Beatles, but we still have a lot of beautiful Pine Barrens. We still have beautiful beaches. And the South Shore is an amazing place. Everything is just laid out in such a way that it makes it easy to get around. The towns are built around the train stations. It's safe. It's well lit. You get that nice sea breeze in the summer, so it doesn't get as hot as the middle. Um, I mean, so many of the nicest towns on Long Island are on the South Shore. The South Shore is it. It's civilization. And I need to be there for my survival. But I know, just saying that is probably going to garner me 3 downvotes just for saying that. I'm dying here, man. But again, some people would like to see me die. So, I know every mental health, I'm rarely am I ever positive. I can't be when I'm around all this. It's just too hard. I can't do it. In the meantime, I'm just trying to avoid getting into the worst situation. I'm trying to avoid Hempstead whenever I can. I mean, I have to try to go out east more when I'm coming back from the South Shore, or go back to Babylon, take a bus from there, or go back from, yeah, take a bus from Babylon up to Deer Park and then go back that way, or go from Massapequa to Farmingdale to walking, or taking the 71 from the mall. Um, but I gotta avoid the Hempstead area and Franklin Square and New Hyde Park and East Garden City, which is really Uniondale, i.e. Roosevelt Field, which is officially a thug mall now. All right, some people poo-poo it, but I don't feel safe when I'm there. You walk around Roosevelt Field, look at all the hoodlums walking around. A lot of these people are up to no good, Just look at the way they behave. They're all shifty and everything. That's the way people are around here. You don't see normal, happy people. I mean, yeah, a certain demographic is a normal, happy person. I'd rather be around them because at least I know they're not going to hurt me. They're not a threat to me. These people, these shifty people, you don't know what they're going to do. But this is what it is in the middle. They're dumping all the problems here. Dumping all the problems here. It's only going to get worse. Nothing's ever going to change. Um, it's only going to get worse. And yeah, more and more of the South Shore will go underwater, but the South Shore is still going to be desirable. People still going to want to be there. People would rather deal with that than the crime. I guess I can't really blame them. You know, I mean, this is what it is. It's only getting worse because more people are going to flee New York City. Most of those people are going to be rich people, and they're going to wind up making those desirable areas even more desirable. So it's an uphill battle. And like I said, I feel trapped. And I don't know where I'll leave. If I leave Long Island, I don't even, between that and the climate, part of me wishes I could live in Flagstaff. But that's really far. Before even thinking about living somewhere like Flagstaff, I'd have to visit at least a few times. I've never been there. I've never been more than 100 miles away from New York City. So, hardly traveled at all. Some money to travel. Okay, I don't get that either. Well, I'm going to wrap up this video. I think we're almost going on 40 minutes long here. I'm sorry for being all doom and gloom, but that's the way I feel. The weather has been just the icing on this really rotten cake of a month that we've had. January, and I'm hoping February at least will have more sun, so at least I can get to the Pine Barrens. And I know I will have to go. I haven't been to New Jersey since October because, in truth, I just avoid going because I don't want to think of the plan. Because every time I think about it, I cry. I know I'm gonna wind up there. It just feels like fate. It just feels like fate that I'm gonna be living in Tom's River. It just feels like fate, and there's nothing I could do. I could do all these things and bang my head against the wall, but it's all gonna. And the end result is always gonna be the same. That's what it feels like. It's not. Nothing is gonna change this. This is the plan. You're not gonna stop the plan. If people with jobs and middle class people are being priced out, then what makes you think you're not going to be priced out too? Damn these snobs, damn Wall Street and finance. But they're just going to keep winning, and they're going to keep living it up in their little enclaves, and it just doesn't feel like there's much of a place for me left here on Long Island anymore. But I'm going to keep trying to fight to stay for as long as I can, even if the end result is still the same. I won't know for sure unless I fight, and I guess I gotta fight harder. So, I deserve to live somewhere I'm happy. Alright? I don't care what anyone says. I deserve that. Alright? especially because I have mental illness, especially because I have depression and anxiety. I need to be somewhere that I can avoid the triggers for those two things. And right here in the middle of the island, I got the dead of night in my little town, which triggers my depression, and I got the people hanging around up to no good, which triggers my anxiety. It's not good to be around any of this. I don't care what anyone says. So, and I know it could be worse. I know there are a lot worse areas than Mineola, but I just don't see Mineola turning around at all. I don't see it. They got awarded money. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. The forces against this area are just too great. You cannot overcome it. We've got a surge of criminals coming in, and it's only going to get worse. And like I said, right now, all right now, it might not seem that bad compared to Hempstead, but what about a couple of years from now? It very well likely will be just as bad as Hempstead. At the rate things are going, it wouldn't surprise me if it is. You know. So that's going to be it. Thank you for watching, and let's hope February's a better month. And on a positive note, I'll just say let's just hope we get some sunshine, because having some sunshine would definitely make a world difference in my mood and getting back to the number one thing that I love. I mean, I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have many friends, but there's one thing I love that's more important than anything, and that is the Pine Barrens. And being with them is one of the most important things in my life. So, with that, thank you for watching. Good night.